Time to elevate. You're running on empty with Matt and Tony.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Running on Empty. I'm Matt.
And I'm Tony.
And we are running on empty. And welcome to episode 50. We finally made it to 50 episodes. I know it's been a while since we did the last one, but I've been excited to get here. And we're going to continue this one with our music series. We were talking yesterday on the phone about, what is the show actually going to be about? Because, do we want to do an interview? Do we want to do some music? I like sticking with the music because that's really how this was really born. And then you came up with a great idea. How about songs of summer? And it doesn't necessarily have to have summer in the title, though, right?
No, although I think most of mine do.
Mine do too.
Some of them don't, but yeah, they don't have to have something in the title.
Okay.
We were thinking about this because we're recording this in late May, right before Memorial Day weekend, which, Memorial Day weekend is traditionally kind of like the kickoff to summer.
Yep.
And there's a long history of summer songs.
A lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them. In fact, I would encourage our listeners to email us. You're going to hear our list of top songs, but our listeners, I'm sure, have their own ideas, and we'd love to hear them. Yeah,
absolutely. And if you Google it, you can find, 100 songs out there that have to do with summer. Some of them old, some new. But these are ones that I like, and you're going to give me the ones that you like. So we each have our top 10 list. And
right.
So you want to kick this off?
I will kick off, and
right.
So here's my list, top 10 list of great summer songs, and I tried to have a bunch of different types of genres in these. So my number 10 is "Dancing Days" by Led Zeppelin.
Oh, great tune!
Off of their 1973 album "Houses of the Holy." I wanted to have at least one heavy metal song. When you think of heavy metal, you don't think of like cheerful summer songs.
No.
And that song "Dancing Days" by Led Zeppelin has mystified Zeppelin fans forever because it's got the lyric, I saw a lion standing there with a tadpole in a jar or something. Everyone thinks it's like got to be some kind of sexual metaphor.
Right.
But you can go online and find like thousands of groups that are trying to decipher Bob Dylan and Led Zeppelin lyrics and stuff like that. So that's number 10. Number 9 is a song that does not have any lyrics, at least this version of it. And it's "Misirlou" by Dick Dale and his Deltones. That's
nice.
That's the surf. That is like the ultimate, when you think of surf music of the late 50s and early 60s, you think of summer and you think of the beach. And that was actually a song from the 1930s that Dick Dale, probably top 3 guitar players of all time.
Oh, yeah.
He turned into this just big influence on Jimi Hendrix, by the way. He turned it into this just like rocking instrumental. It's just one of the most amazing tunes ever recorded. But it's in that surf genre. And I wanted to make sure we had at least one surf song.
Oh, definitely.
In the summer songs. And I think Quentin Tarantino revived that song in the Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think the Black Eyed Peas sampled it for one of their big songs. So it's a popular one. Number 8 is in the hip hop genre. Do you remember that song "Summertime" by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince?
Oh my God! Yeah, I played the heck out of it. Yeah.
It turned out, and I didn't even know this, they won a Grammy Award for that song.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Back
That's
in
awesome.
1991. I think that was like
that I had no idea.
Of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, and I really liked it at the time. I mean, it was, it's really a kind of a nostalgic tune, right? It's kind of like Will Smith reflecting back on being raised in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And, really nice lyrics of, barbecues and things like that. Everything associated with summer. And it's hard to remember. A lot of people don't know that Will Smith started his career as a rapper.
Oh, yeah. I actually saw him at the Riverside Theater. I won on whatever the radio station was. I won a contest. So the concert was at the Riverside, and the headliner was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Really?
So that was it. And this song, I saw him do it live, but Parents Just Don't Understand was a big one.
Yeah.
And the theme to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was a big one.
Right.
The two opening acts for that were Technotronic and Biz Markie.
Oh yeah, Biz Markie. The
So
late Biz Markie.
the late Biz Markie, he's gone now. But Technotronic did all of their stuff in blacklight, but Biz Markie, he was actually the first one to come out, and he did a 45-minute version of that song. And he just kept changing the lyrics, and people were laughing.
Classic.
It was hysterical. So that was fun. But that's how I remember Biz Markie.
Well, I mean, he was like, I mean, I don't think people in the hip hop community, I don't think of Biz Markie as a one-hit wonder, but many people, that song was just so tremendous.
Oh yeah. But it was a good. Will Smith was amazing, by the way. Oh, here's an interesting little tidbit. This was so Will Smith and his DJ, and nothing really on the stage. I mean, except for the turntables and stuff. It was all that. Okay. But they had an opening comedian just before, and it was his first time on stage. Folks, give it up for this up and coming comedian, Chris Rock.
Come on.
Absolutely. No lie. Seriously. Chris Rock opened.
Oh my God.
Years ago. I mean, it was like 1990, I think it was 1991.
Wow.
But, oh my God. Chris Rock was that was his start. So,
I didn't realize the history those guys had together.
Yeah, it's a long one.
That's amazing. How was Chris Rock back then, by the way?
I'd never seen any comedian like him. He kind of had that, he was like a tamer Sam Kinison at the time.
Oh,
he was
sure.
I was tired of this and doing, everything. It was great. He was fantastic. I'm like, this kid's going to go places. Well,
sure did.
He did. So, okay.
Wow.
So next song.
Number 7 I have on my list. It's largely a tribute to the late Olivia Newton-John, who was really one of my favorites and just an amazing performer. The song Summer Nights by Olivia John and John Travolta from the movie Grease.
Yep.
Yeah, which was a huge hit for them. And of course, the movie Grease was kind of like a nostalgic kind of tribute to that really that rockabilly era of the 1950s, the whole Elvis Presley era. So I think Olivia Newton-John was really one of the not necessarily an underrated singer, because I mean she certainly was a platinum selling artist, but I don't know if she was ever taken as seriously as a singer as other people in that genre. But she was amazing.
But Summer Nights was like one of the biggest karaoke tunes of and it's so funny because a lot of people think the song is called Summer Lovin' because it's called Summer Nights.
Summer Nights, exactly. Number 6, I thought, you got to have at least one song by the Beach Boys in a list of top 10 summer songs, and it's the song called All Summer Long by the Beach Boys, 1964, which I think was the title of the album they put out that year.
Okay.
And that was really one of the last albums they put out before Pet Sounds, which was the album that really shifted their career into a more progressive. Mm-hmm. But All Summer Long is like the old school Beach Boys, very cheerful, very upbeat, and very much a summer song. Number 5 is one that is certainly not your traditional summer song at all. It's Summertime Sadness by the great Lana Del Rey.
Okay.
And that's 2012, I believe. I mean, Lana Del Rey is an absolutely amazing singer and songwriter with a very melancholy persona and theme. I mean, let's face it, Summertime Sadness is about suicide, right? And it's the video, which I'm sure you've seen, is kind of chilling. And I put it on my list because it's just so unlike almost every other summer song.
Right.
Here. In fact, some people would probably even say it's not really a summertime song, except for the title. All right. So that's number 5. Number 4 is Dancing in the Street by the great Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. And, you got to have at least one Motown song. And Dancing in the Street by Martha and the Vandellas is probably the what was the name of the Motown house band? The Funk Brothers.
The Funk Brothers. Yep.
Yeah. The instrumentation on Martha Reeves' Dancing in the Streets is like the ultimate Funk Brothers. They are in top form in that song. That's 1964. And by the way, you probably know this. That song was co-written by none other than Marvin Gaye.
Wow, that is awesome.
Who we did a show on a few months ago.
That was one of my favorite shows, by the way. I just anything Marvin Gaye. I love Marvin Gaye.
Yeah, so do I, very much so. My number 3 in the top 10 is 1966 "Summer in the City" by the Lovin' Spoonful.
Yeah, great tune.
Which was a song that was a little bit out of character for them. I mean, they were known for being more of like kind of like a folk rock type of band, and that "Summer in the City" I would call kind of like a soul type of tune, and it's really it's got a real interesting set of lyrics, right? Because it's one of the few summer songs that doesn't really speak very optimistically about the daytime in the summer, right?
No,
it's like everything changes in the nighttime when the summer becomes fun, right? But in the daytime, people are dirty and gritty and all that kind of stuff. But what a great vocal on that tune by the great John Sebastian.
Oh yeah,
just absolutely amazing. Number 2. Now I put this one on because this was one of the when I was a kid and first started listening to rock and roll, I think this was literally one of the first songs I ever heard. And it's "School's Out" by Alice Cooper. Right.
Awesome.
School's out for summer, right? And at the end of the song, they literally blow up the school, right?
That's right.
I don't know about you. I don't think Alice Cooper could get away with a song like this today.
Probably not today.
Yeah.
Not with the culture we got with schools, and no.
And people wouldn't pick up on the irony and the sarcasm and things of that nature. But it's also, I would call it kind of like a heavy metal song.
Yeah, it's a hard rock tune to me. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of the rare examples of a hard rock tune that was a huge hit on AM radio.
Right?
Yeah. Like I was 11 years old in 1972, and I distinctly remember that song. And distinctly identifying it as something really rebellious.
Oh yeah.
Which for me is what rock and roll should be all about. So, you got to give Alice Cooper some credit for that one. And my number 1 song of summer, which continues in the rebel theme, is also by another late artist, the late great Eddie Cochran.
Yeah.
"Summertime Blues." And Eddie Cochran died way too young. I think he died in 1960. He was probably 20 years old, maybe 21 years old. And I think he was in a car crash somewhere in England. He and Gene Vincent were in a crash together. And of course, the two of them were already like early rock and roll icons. Eddie Cochran is someone who probably, had he lived, would have gone down as one of the great rock stars of all time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, he is, even with the short time he did record. But "Summertime Blues" I loved from the first moment I heard it, excuse me, because he hated so many things, right? Like the oppression of teens, right?
Right.
That whole song, "Summertime Blues," is about the kind of teenage angst and the oppression they feel from parents and the government. And the character in the song ends up going to the United Nations to bring his case, right?
Right.
And I think that "Summertime Blues," it's recorded in 1958, but I got to tell you, I think that the Zoomer generation could probably identify heavily with this tune.
Yeah.
Right.
I have the lyrics in front of me here, and just working all summer trying to earn $1.
Yeah.
Boss says, "No dice, son, you got to work late." I mean, like there was always an obstacle. There was always an obstacle. And it was like the first 2 verses are really about working. Like you need to get a job. You need to go working. Now,
of course, in 1958, I think the older generation, they would not like this comparison, right? Because they would say that the difference is in 1958, if a kid was getting crapped on at work, he kind of struggled through it and used it as like a building block to the next job.
Yeah.
Whereas today, this is the argument that's made, that the young people today will just ghost you They'll
Yeah.
just like right all of a sudden not show up.
That happens. It's weird that happens a lot. You know, like employers are just like, well, they just didn't show up and they didn't call or anything. And I'm like, what? It's okay, fine, sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I work with a lot of 18-year-olds in my job and as a university teacher, and there's a lot of polarization, right? There are a lot of young, contrary to the stereotype, there are a lot of young people today who will work the low wage jobs.
Yeah.
They'll work unpaid internships. They'll do whatever they have to build their resume.
Yeah.
So that's certainly there.
Yeah.
Right? There are other people though who have come to the realization that, you're kind of getting shit on by corporate America and you should fight back. And if you can afford to quit, you should quit. Right.
Yeah.
There's, and I could actually see many, many sides to this. So, I mean, if Eddie Cochran were writing Summertime Blues today, I wonder how he would adapt his lyrics to our changing conditions. For me, it'll always be one of the great youth rebellion tunes.
Oh, yeah. It would be interesting to see some potentially updated lyrics, though. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe
fun.
Weird Al. Well,
yeah. And by the way, there's been a ton of cover versions of that song. My favorite one is probably by The Who. And they released it in, I think it was 1970, and they're great, probably the greatest rock live album of all time is Live at Leeds by The Who. And their version of Summertime Blues is absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
So that's my top 10.
All right. Well, ironically, our lists are not that different. Okay. So, and it's weird because I had like 13 on my list. And Summertime Blues was the one that actually got bumped because I thought of one, because at the last minute, I'm like, oh, no, there's this. Okay. So number 10 for me, number 10, School's Out by Alice Cooper. That brings me back to, like middle school days and stuff. And when that song was playing, you cranked it up loud. Like if somebody had a boombox or something on the bus, you'd play School's Out. Number 9, and I actually got to see them a few years ago, it's Vacation by the Go-Go's. I'm thinking summertime, it's time to go on a vacation. So, and I mean, they just, it's just a fun tune, and you heard it in a lot of TV commercials along.
Was that the 80s?
Yeah, that was 80s. Yeah, 80, like 82, 83.
Yeah.
Sticking with the 80s, I'm going to go to the number 8 is The Heat Is On from Glenn Frey.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, and that one, Beverly Hills Cop made that a big song. But I was always a fan of the Eagles in general. And to have I love Glenn Frey. I mean, it's sad that he's gone, but that was a really big popular tune. And one that we bashed up. And we always played that one like with the Axel F from the Beverly Hills Cop.
Glenn Frey is really, really missed. What an amazing singer songwriter. And he was able to write in multiple genres, right?
Right.
He could do the folk stuff, he could do country, and he could do hard rock.
Yeah. Oh, he could.
There really are not many singer-songwriters that are comfortable in all those genres.
No.
But so he's very, very much missed.
But yeah, I when he passed away, I was like, oh man, I mean, like, there's an amazing concert going up in the sky right now. Like all these amazing artists. Moving on, my next number 7, Measure by Dick Dale.
Yeah, there you go.
And here's the thing: I got to see him perform it live in Madison at Luther's Blues. Yeah. He was it was probably like 2 or 3 years before he passed away. And I got to say, the most insane and incredible guitarist I've ever seen on stage. Got to shake his hand afterwards, just to be like, I mean, he's royalty to me, I was a big fan of Pulp Fiction, but I'm also a fan of the beach music. Like we went to a water park in Ohio years ago, and all they played was that older classic twangy beach music. And when this came on, man, the wave pool fired up. It was really cool. So Miserlou's got to be on there.
I think a lot of people don't realize, when I teach the rhetoric of rock and roll, I actually spend a lot of time with Dick Dale because people don't realize, especially in the state of California, in 1960, 61, 62, 63, Dick Dale was probably the most popular person in the state of California.
Wow.
I mean, and every show he played was sold out, right? And he never really became a national act as much, right? Then later in his life, he went touring all around, and like Luther's place in Madison is a small place, right?
Yeah.
He enjoyed playing those small gigs, and
Yeah.
he was a great environmentalist.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
a lot of people. Yeah, yeah. Obviously he was literally a surfer, and a lot of people that are into that activity, they start to become very mindful of the oceans and things like that. And he, in the last 10 years of his life, he really became a hardcore environmental activist.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Very
which
cool.
was amazing. And because, like I said
Yeah.
before, he was one of the most innovative guitar players that have ever lived. And Jimi Hendrix, because Dick Dale played left-handed,
Yeah.
right? And I think, like Hendrix, he took the right-handed guitar and turned it over. And so he ended up with one of these really, really unique sounds. He also, apparently, Dick Dale was really great friends with Leo Fender, the guy who invented the Fender Stratocaster. All right.
Very cool.
Yeah, for the guitar nerds out there, Dick Dale was like Jimi Hendrix, was a Fender Stratocaster player.
That's awesome.
And they were just very innovative. Apparently, Leo Fender built one for Dick Dale. Right. And just
That's
a little bit of trivia. So here's, Les Paul, invented the electric guitar, right? Or one of the key inventors. Leo Fender, right up there with Les Paul. A lot of people don't know Leo Fender did not actually play guitar, even though he was one of the
That's awesome.
technological innovators. Amazing. Anyway, just as
that's awesome. That's cool. Well, I know he played so fast.
Yeah.
Like that, it's funny. If you go on YouTube now, I saw this the other day, actually. There was a guy that wanted to recreate Mr. Lou like Dick Dale, but he couldn't play that fast. So he put a pick on a drill and put the drill up and down the guitar. It was hysterical. So it sounded like it, but anyway.
Amazing.
All right, moving on to number 6. I'm going to the Drifters and Under the Boardwalk.
Oh my goodness.
Classic tune. And when I was a disc jockey back at, it's now called The Bar, but it was Decades in Oshkosh years ago. I played Under the Boardwalk, and I happened to have on 45 the original version of that, not the remake that was cleaner for radio. And the cleaner for radio version will be at the end of the song, we'll be falling in love under the boardwalk.
Wow.
Okay. And the original version says we'll be making love under the boardwalk. And that was the original 45 I had. Unfortunately, it was property of the club, so I'm guessing it might still be there. But I love Under the Boardwalk, and it's always one I like to do for karaoke because I could actually hit that.
Yeah, would that be considered doo-wop?
I would consider it doo-wop. It's in that vein, but I mean it's still like doo-wop on the edge of like R&B,
Yeah, a lot of great vocal harmony in there. Amazing.
So one of my favorite ones. The next one, we're going up to number 5, and we're going to some Mungo Jerry in the Summertime. I have that on vinyl. Actually, I have a lot of this stuff on vinyl still. But Mungo Jerry, one of the most interesting looking individuals. I mean, he had those big old mutton chops. He still does the autograph signings around the country. He's still around.
His name? I think isn't his name like Jerry Royster or something like that? Yeah. He was apparently working. He was like working in the corporate world at that time, like for like Timex or something like that.
Yeah.
And they had this huge hit in the Summertime.
That was
1970.
Yeah, let me think.
It's almost like a hippie anthem.
Yeah. I didn't put it out. Oh, wait, I do. 1970. Yeah. And you really, like, if you look at the lyrics of that, you probably wouldn't want to write a song like that today.
What's that? If her daddy's rich, take her out for a meal. If her daddy's poor, just do what you feel.
Right.
Oh my God. Oh, come on, man. Wow.
You got women on your mind. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely not a Me Too movement song.
No, that's the 1970s hippie era.
Yep. Okay, moving to number 4. And actually my top 4 were tough because they're all kind of about the same. But the next one we go up, and this we're going to Norah Jones, and she's got a song called Sunrise. Sunrise, sunrise feels like morning in your eyes. Anything she does is typically very slow, but
Yeah.
it's not necessarily summertime, but it's nice to put it on in the morning. It's a feel good song when you wake up and the sun's out and it's, nice weather. So it's just, and got to see her perform at Red Rocks. And that was interesting. That concert was interesting because she did that song in concert, but her opening act was Mavis Staples.
Oh yeah, my God.
So you go from like somebody who literally blows the roof off of Red Rocks, pun intended, down to this like really low key. Like the moment she started, all the smoke started coming up from the crowd. But
of course, her famous father is the late Ravi Shankar.
Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that, but I mean,
and her sister Anushka, I believe, Shankar is like her dad, just an amazing sitar player.
Yeah.
Right. And Norah Jones became kind of like the jazz singer of the family.
Mm-hmm.
She's incredible.
I just love her style.
Familiar with that. I'm not familiar with that tune, though. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Oh, it's a great tune. We have a Norah Jones playlist on Spotify, and that's what kicks it off every time. And it's just a very comforting. I like it a lot.
Yeah, she's incredible.
All right, moving up to number 3, and this is by design. We got some Bob Marley, Three Little Birds.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry about a thing because every little thing is going to be all right. Sometimes it doesn't see that way, but I'm telling you, I love. I have some Bob Marley on vinyl, and it is the best way to listen to Bob Marley is on vinyl. My favorite song of his is Redemption Songs, which hands down the best one. But Three Little Birds, it's a happy, feel good, summery, lively, I mean, a lot of other people have done it, but nobody does it as good as Bob Marley.
What year was that tune? Was that the 70s?
That was 70s. Let me check it out. Three Little Birds, not Three Little Pigs, Three Little Birds. And is a song by Bob Marley and the Wailers. It is a 4-track on side 2 of his Exodus album from 1977.
Wow.
So definitely late 70s.
If you look at videos of his live performances from that era, he's one of the rare examples of someone that really did attract a multiracial audience.
Yes.
Music in this country especially is so segregated.
Yeah.
But Bob Marley was able to bring everyone together.
Yeah.
With a real radical message.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, it was just amazing.
Well, I mean, listen, you go to Redemption Songs for a second. He talks about, don't worry about atomic energy because there's nobody that can stop the time. And I'm like, wow. I mean, nobody sings like that anymore. I mean, these are some pretty profound lyrics. So I had to include at least one Bob Marley tune in there because that's
absolutely
near and dear to me. And number 2 and number 1, I actually really battled with because one of them is from my 80s era and one of them is from the 70s. But I love them the same, and I love them for completely different reasons. So my number 2 is Summer Breeze from Seals and Croft.
Oh.
I mean, blowing through the jasmine of my mind, like nobody has lyrics like that. That is an incredible lyric to me. It is just a lazy, great summer tune.
What year was that? 71, 72?
Summer 73? Breeze. That was 72.
Yeah, I remember that one on radio.
Yeah. Summer Breeze makes me feel fine, blowing through the jasmine in my mind. Oh man.
Yeah.
And usually when we're listening to that here in Colorado, we might be a little elevated, but so. And then number 1, and this is actually Jody's number 1 too. Bryan Adams, Summer of '69.
Oh yeah.
She was born in '69. I was born in '67, but and it was a phenomenal '80s tune. I got to see him in concert at Summerfest a long time ago, seeing him sing that. And it just, I mean, it's when that song comes on, you put the top down, you crank up the radio.
Yeah. What year did that come out?
That was June 17th, 1985.
85. What's interesting about that Bryan Adams is, I think he was from Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
What was interesting about him was at that point in the 80s, MTV had pretty much taken over popular music.
Yep.
And Michael Jackson, the great Michael Jackson, had pretty much, really taken over pop music with a kind of funk, soul, disco. And there was all this kind of like dance, pop, synthesizer type music. Bryan Adams was really one of the lone old school rockers of that period, right?
Yeah.
I mean, guitar, bass, drums.
Yeah.
And, as we record, the late Tina Turner just passed away.
That's a heartbreaker. Oh,
but remember, she did that great duo with Bryan Adams. Yeah, what was that song called? Oh, I can't remember it now.
All right. Well, let me do it.
I can see the video right now of them at the mic together. Man, it was Bryan Adams and Tina Turner.
It's Only Love.
It's Only Love.
Yeah.
That was a rocking tune.
That was a great tune. 2009.
Yeah, it had that great riff, remember?
Yes.
Oh, man.
That was fantastic. Yeah, I did not expect to see that Tina Turner had passed away. That's very sad.
I didn't realize she was 83 years old.
Yeah, we a few weeks ago, we watched that documentary about her, which is amazing. If you haven't had a chance to watch it, I do suggest that. Really, really good. Yeah, she overcame a lot. And the day that she, like, I remember in the movie, like when she walks out, it's a profound scene. It's pretty cool. I got to give that woman an amazing amount of credit for doing what she did. My favorite song by her is still Simply the Best. That's just fantastic tune of hers.
Well, I think that, Ike and Tina Turner's cover of Proud Mary by Creedence will forever. I mean, that's one of the rare examples of where the cover of a song becomes the definitive version of the song.
Yeah,
John Fogerty of CCR has said many times that people come up to him and say, "Oh, I really liked your cover of the Tina Turner song." He's like, no, that's my song. Wow. It's too bad Ike Turner was such an abusive idiot, because he also was a guitar innovator.
Oh, he was phenomenal musician.
In fact, he played on what may be the first rock and roll song of all time, Rocket 88.
Oh, wow, right?
Yeah, that was Ike Turner on that. But let's not talk about him. This is right? And she, we're talking about Summer. I mean, in her prime, I mean, she was one of the great summer touring acts. I mean, globally. Yep. And it was great that she made it on her own after leaving Ike Turner.
Yeah,
just amazing. Well, anyway, Matt, I think we've mentioned like 19 or 20 really, really great tunes.
Yeah. There was a couple other songs that I kind of had on my periphery. I had Summertime Blues on there, but it did get bumped. It's a great tune. But I didn't. There's a country remake of that one too, Summertime Blues, or a few country
I'm sure
remakes.
There is.
The other one that's classified as a summer song, it's As It Was by Harry Styles. They call it a summer song. So it's an interesting song. It's a good tune. It sounds like an 80s tune. It's one of my favorite Harry Styles tunes. But then there's a band that to me symbolizes summer, and they're called Stick Figure. And they're officially a style of music called reggae dub. We'll have some links to the stuff in our comments and whatnot below. But anything by Stick Figure. They actually have a song called Summertime, and it's one of my least favorite ones by them. And the reason is because somehow it got stuck on a loop when this was during COVID, and that song kept playing in the background somehow, and I despised it. And I was here suffering from this COVID crap, and I was like, can the song just please stop? It was always on this playlist. And so any other Stick Figure song, great. Angels Above Me is my favorite Stick Figure song, but to me, they're a very good summer band. But yeah, we've got, it's cool that our lists were very similar. Like about half of them are about the same. So that's different places, but about the same. So I'm loving it. Well, I'm ready for summer. I don't know about you.
Oh, definitely. Definitely ready for summer. Yeah, although have you noticed we haven't seen that many summer songs over the last 10 years? And I wonder if I don't want to read too much into it. I wonder if part of it is with the extreme weather patterns that we're seeing, right? It's like
that could be.
Summer in some ways has kind of lost its charm, right?
Right.
It's like, seriously, it's like now in many parts of the world, including here, occasionally you think of extreme heat
Yeah.
and drought, right?
Yeah.
And isn't it amazing, these songs from the 60s and 70s, when they're thinking of summer, they're thinking of, oh, winter's gone and hanging out on the beach and so on. And I think, so much has happened, not all of it great, right?
Yeah.
The last 20 years.
No, it's
to do like a deep psychological probe of songwriters.
That could be interesting.
How has the meaning of summer changed in the mind of the average songwriter?
Oh,
wow.
Man. But I think for folks out there, please let us know what your favorite summer songs are. Whether they have this word "summer" in the title or not. But there's definitely a lot of them out there, and I'm sure there's a few that we didn't think of, and it should probably be on this list. So please send us your summer songs.
Yeah. All right. Well, then until next time, Matt, I guess we should stay elevated.
Stay elevated, everybody. We'll see you next time. Take care.
You're running on empty with Matt and Tony.